Welcome back to another edition of Stand on Guard. I am your host, David Krayden, and it's Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Thank you for joining me when I come back. The latest on the Freedom Convoy trial. And yes, it continues. And I'll let you know what's happening.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, do what Sasha the cat does there. Please hit the bell, smash the like button, give us the thumbs up so we can beat YouTube's continued suppression, although they're trying hard, but they got me again yesterday on the story. But overall, we're beating them. You and I are beating them. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being there for this station. Thank you for subscribing. Let your friends and family know that the Krayden's Right Network is alive and well. And that Stand on Guard is the show that presents and gives you all the news that you need to know to get on with your day, or as the case may be today, or with your night. I've been at the Freedom Convoy trial all day. Got there just before 10, expecting to go right into the courtroom, but of course, we had some logistical problems again. Nobody in the court could tell me what was going on. I went to courtroom number 5. If you've been to the Ottawa courthouse, hopefully for the right reasons, you go downstairs, and courtroom number 5 is right next to the stairs as you exit. The judge is sitting there alone. Couldn't find any of the defense or prosecution lawyers anywhere. Asked around. Nobody seemed to know what was going on. Finally found out, well, Lawrence Greenspan, the lead attorney for Tamara Lich, was indisposed. He had some other things he had to take care of immediately. So we were delayed by about an hour. Turned out to be about an hour and a half, actually, by the time we finally got in there. But what a day. The testimony was incredible because we're down. This could be the penultimate day. In other words, the day before the last day of testimony. And these summations right now from the defense are really wrapping up the case. They're not just concluding statements. The defense is providing all of their analysis, all of their efforts are focused on why Tamara Lich and Chris Barber are not guilty of all of the things. I mean, and it's ridiculous because the story's not up yet, but I was there writing today for the Post Millennial. Please have a look at www.thepostmillennial.com. It's one of the best media outlets in North America. And I'm very proud to be doing Canadian and American news for it. That's a little plug for the TPM as short form goes. But it's quite interesting because remember what Tamara and Chris are up against here. And remember, this trial began on September 5th, 2023. We're almost a year away from that, like literally 2 weeks away from this being a year old. And if they end the testimony, the summations on Friday, it ain't over because we got to come back for a verdict in early 2025, I'm told. Now, I was told today in confidence that the Crown wants to wrap this up by Friday. No, I'm not talking about verdicts by Friday, but to get the statements done by Friday. I'm told the Crown wants it. I find that a little hard to believe because the Crown has, of course, kept this trial going for as long as it's gone, and it's what we call lawfare. This is lawfare or warfare against Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. That's what this is all about. Now, please continue to like the station now because I see YouTube is suppressing the numbers of people actually seeing it. I'm looking at the monitor now. Yep, YouTube is suppressing it. Tell your family and friends about this broadcast because it's very important what happened today. People ask me, I mean, why are you attending the Freedom Convoy trial anyway? I mean, does it matter what the outcome is? You bet it matters what the outcome is because if Chris and Tamara lose this, if they're found not guilty, all Canadians are going to be found, if they're found guilty, all Canadians are going to be found guilty of opposing mandates during that pandemic, of wanting the freedom to choose what to put in their bodies, about the freedom to choose what to do when faced with that decision, and about the right not to have to wear a mask, the right not to obey arbitrary instructions. And I'm not going to say anything more about this because you know what happens when you get too much into it. Yes, we all know the vaccine was safe and effective. Yeah, have to say that. But of course, we all know what the reality is, don't we? And I want to tell you, I want to read a few things from the yet to be published story that I put together today because it's quite interesting. Because what we had today was the third member of the defense trio, a lawyer named Eric Granger. He was up for the entire day. Lawrence Greenspan is up on Friday, and he tells me he will finish all of his summation on Friday. It's up to whether or not the Crown is allowed to submit a written summation. But once again, I don't know if that's going to happen on Friday or not. I will be there on Friday. I'm not going to miss this because once again, this is a trial that is significant to me. It's very important to me that we see this through to the end because Tamara and Chris to me are Canadian heroes. I said this today as I spoke to so many people who were there at the courthouse today, both inside and out. A lot of them attending the trial. Some of them have been there from day one. And I've got an interview with a guy coming on here later who has literally been there from day one. And he goes every day they're on trial. This is what, like day 42 now of this trial. It's outrageous. A mischief trial that goes on for 42 days. It's the longest mischief trial in Canadian history, possibly world history. I heard a number of people say that today. I'm going to confirm that for you by the next time I come on the air. I find that fascinating. But if you consider what these two are facing here, they pleaded not guilty to charges of mischief, intimidation, obstruction, and other even more minor counts. Like I say, this is the sort of nonsense that occurs at a wedding reception and never gets to court. This is all about a kangaroo court. And I shouldn't say that because the judge is being quite fair. So that's perhaps not the best analogy. It's a show trial. It's a political show trial that the government is putting on. And you know what? Even though Trudeau is the one who invoked the Emergencies Act, who do you think is really doing the persecuting here? Yes, Trudeau's standing behind it all. Trudeau's the one who crushed the Freedom Convoy. Trudeau's the one who felt the pushback and actually had to stop persecuting Canadians with his COVID-19 mandates. But who is really persecuting Tamara Lich and Chris Barber? It's the provincial government of Ontario, that faux conservative government of Doug Ford. The same faux conservative government of Doug Ford that supported the Emergencies Act wholeheartedly. Doug Ford was right on there on X, on social media, saying, "Good for you, Justin. Go after those truckers." Yes, Doug Ford is the one persecuting Tamara Lich and Chris Barber just as much as Justin Trudeau did during the invocation of the Emergencies Act. Now, during Granger's summation, Judge Heather Perkins-McVey actually acknowledged that there was no evidence Leach ever blocked a street or a road. So clearly the judge is quite open to evidence. And Granger said a number of interesting things here. He said the prosecution has been unable to cite a single example of Tamara Lich actually breaking the law. And he said, even if he put everything in context, as the prosecution or the Crown keeps insisting, put it in context, put it in context. Granger noted that the Crown keeps talking about context being taken into account. But even when the context is taken into account, Granger said, and these things are properly considered, Your Honor is required to do so. There still remains no case against Ms. Lich. No case. That is what Eric Granger, one of the defense team lawyers, said today. Now, I found that very fascinating. I'm going to show you a picture here. This was taken this week outside the courthouse. And of course, this was the first time during the trial we were allowed to photograph the two of them together because prior to, I think it was June, they were not allowed to be together. Even at the trial, they could sit on the same bench, but they had to leave the courtroom separately and they could not fraternize outside of the courthouse. So I could never get a picture of the two of them together. We had to use old pictures when they were together at the Emergencies Act inquiry or during the Freedom Convoy protest itself. But I couldn't get a fresh photograph of the two of them together because they weren't allowed to be in the same vicinity. Now they are. So we got a number of pictures the other day of the two of them together. And of course, Tamara posted one of the other pictures that I used on the last Post Millennial story on her X account because she really was touched by it, and I thought that was nice for her to do that. Another really interesting piece of news today: the notorious hoodie that the prosecution was so concerned about, they thought it was conspiratorial that two people were wearing it, including Tamara Lich, and somebody else was wearing the same hoodie. And of course, the judge quipped at the time, well, maybe there was a sale on. She's got a real sense of humor. Very, very strange, though, how she's constantly interjecting during the testimony. I find that very strange. And I've heard that from other folks as well. But like I say, she is trying to be fair and objective. So at least we can be glad about that. Anyway, here it is, Freedom Convoy 2022. 10-7. Oh, what does that mean? The defense, or sorry, the prosecution wondered. What does 10-7 mean? Is that some sort of conspiratorial term you find in the dark internet? Or is that referring to insurrection? Is that 10-7? That must be an insurrection against government, right? No, it just means that the truckers use this when they say they're out of service, that their radio service is gone, or it means defunct, not working, unserviceable, as we would say in the military. So that's all 10-7 amounts to. And of course, defense really was having a good laugh over this, and I talked to Tamara Lich about this too, and she thought that was just hilarious. But I ran into my old friend Ezra Levant today, and Ezra and I go back a long way. We both worked at Sun News at one time, and I remember when he worked on Parliament Hill, I was there as well, working for an MP. He was working for Preston Manning in his office. And Ezra has, of course, done wonderful work over the years, and he'll always be a good friend. And yes, in conservative media, we all work together to some degree because we are looking out not just for the bottom line, we're looking out for values that matter for Canadians. We're looking out for principles and ideals, and we're looking for stories that the mainstream media ignores or completely ridicules. I just want to read a couple of tweets Ezra put out today. Excuse my glasses. This is Tamara Lich's sweetness, positivity, and good nature is precisely why she was prosecuted in the show trial. She was so much more compelling than nasty Trudeau. They had to neutralize her as a public personality. They had to throw this mud at her. That's what this 43-day trial is. 43 days today. 43 days today of trial. Trudeau so badly wanted the trucker convoy to turn into his version of the U.S. January 6th. Of course, January 6th is Democrat mythology, but it is conventional wisdom in the mainstream media. Meaning Trudeau wanted the Freedom Convoy to be an insurrection. He wanted people to think that they were trying to take over the government forcefully and violently. You listen to the testimony that the prosecution introduces. Every last example, you have either Chris Barber or Tamara Lich saying, please demonstrate peacefully, obey the police, do not disturb local citizens in Ottawa. Yeah, said it time and time again. No chance any real prosecutor would have prosecuted this. No chance Justice Department bureaucrats would have approved the 43-plus day trial. It's a minor mischief case with no evidence and low chance of conviction. This trial is about 1, punish Tamara, 2, defame Tamara. And the same goes for Chris Barber. The same goes for Chris Barber. How do you think this guy's supposed to work? Or Tamara Lich, how is she supposed to work? When she's constantly transiting back and forth from Western Canada, she's in Medicine Hat, he's in Saskatchewan, Swift Current, I believe, and they're constantly going back and forth. Now, they're here all week because the trial resumed on Monday, continued Tuesday, and we have to come back on Friday. So that's a whole week out of their lives. That's a whole week out of the lives of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. And that's what this is all about for the prosecution and for Justin Trudeau and Doug Ford. This is to make their lives miserable. This is about ensuring they can't have adequate employment. This is about ensuring they spend money they don't have. Thank God they're being funded by small c conservative justice organizations. I was told today, and I won't say who told me, but the legal costs for Chris and Tamara are now approaching $1 million. $1 million. Could you afford that? Even if you sold your home, could you afford that? Probably not. Your home's probably not worth $1 million. Could you afford $1 million trial? Nobody could unless they're a multimillionaire. Even then, it takes a huge bite out of your behind, takes a huge bite out of your income. But they're expected to just absorb this and have the interference and have the inconvenience in their lives. No problem. These two are just sort of renegade freedom fighters, aren't they? And the government doesn't really give a damn about what happens to them. This is all about Justin Trudeau's ego. It's always been about Justin Trudeau's ego. And like I say, how much has the prosecution spent? Millions of dollars tracking down idiotic leads that led nowhere. They got nothing. I was there. Not a single piece of evidence to suggest either of these people broke the law. And somehow the best that the prosecution can do is to tar them by saying, well, there were some individuals who said they were part of the Freedom Convoy who did some bad things. Well, there may have been. But I'm sorry, neither Tamara or Chris were responsible for the actions of everybody who was living or visiting Ottawa in February 2022. They were not responsible for the actions of everybody who said, oh, I'm associated with that Freedom Convoy group. No, they ran a very tight ship. If you watch the instructions they gave, and this nonsense that the prosecution is putting out that they somehow were co-conspirators, that they were meeting together every day to conspire against the government, conspire against the city of Ottawa. We're trying deliberately to set up gridlock in the city, which is all balderdash. We have text messages. We have the social media messages from Chris Barber, who looked after the trucks because he's a trucker himself. He was the one who said, don't block traffic. He was the one who wanted a slow roll every morning, or at least once or twice a week, and not to park the trucks downtown and block traffic. It was the Ottawa Police Service that said, park your trucks here. No, you're not doing a slow roll. Just park the trucks here. They were the ones who created the traffic jam. They were the ones who created the gridlock. The Ottawa Police and that idiot police chief, both of them, the deputy as well, the bald-headed guy who looked like Mussolini. They were the ones creating the problem downtown. They were the ones creating the gridlock. They were the ones creating the so-called occupation. So that's what's come out of this trial as well. This is all BS, what you're being fed by the mainstream media. You know, there's a CBC reporter who has been attending this trial, and he's been doing very good objective reports because the prosecution has been a clown show from day one, and the defense team has done a bang up job of getting the information out there, getting the truth out there. They've done an excellent job, starting with Lawrence Greenspan, Eric Granger, and Diane Magus, who's done a wonderful job. She was up last week doing some fabulous work. And I'm glad that their legal work is being paid for by conservative organizations that care. And that there's conservative media there, whether it's me or with Rebel News or whether it's other groups who are reporting this fairly and accurately. And yes, I know you can. Yes, I am very honest about the fact I want these two to be vindicated. I want them to be innocent because I think this is like the Second World War. You're on either on the side of righteousness and right, or you're on the side of evil. And this is clearly one of those moments. This is a bifurcation in our society between good and bad, good and evil, right and wrong. The Freedom Convoy was about our freedom. And these two put their behinds on the line for us. They put their own personal freedom on the line so that Canada could be freer. No other country in the world put up the kind of protest, effective protest, that these two did as part of the Freedom Convoy. Not the United States. There was very little productive protest in the United States. Not anywhere in Europe, certainly not the UK, which is a wasteland today, which is a police state today. But the Freedom Convoy was the difference. The Freedom Convoy made a difference for freedom in Canada, for freedom around the world. And I talk to my American journalist friends, and they say, we didn't expect Canada to come through this way. We didn't expect Canadians to fight back against the government this forcefully, because Canada always is prostrate in front of its government. Not this time. We showed them. Actually, Tamara and Chris showed them. And I was there for that entire Freedom Convoy protest in the freezing February weather, having a hell of a good time covering it, because it was a great time celebrating freedom and knowing we were doing the right thing. And that's why I continue to go to this trial. I want to show you a clip here. Here's some of the people who were there today, and you can see why they were there.
Did you leave your mouse on the bench?
That's what I heard. Yes, so I'm going back to.
Yeah, it's leave stuff.
So what did you think of it so far today?
I was drawing pictures today.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah, no, I basically he's just going to refute what was heard by the Crown. So I don't think that's too hard. That's not an untenable position. They're going to take the Crown had nothing, so it's all just fill in the blanks, basically.
Do you mind giving your name?
My name's Frank Peters.
Frank Peters. And
Yeah.
you've been following the trial from the beginning?
I've been at every one of Tamara and Chris's trials. Previous ones and this week as well, and last week. And
What's your gut feeling about how this is going to turn out for them?
oh, we're going to win. What that means?
Yeah, what does that
Question.
mean?
Well, I think they've dug too deep a hole. They're going to have some type of victory, or they're going to face some repercussions, whether it's in another court or a lawsuit or something. But I think they're going to have to get them on something. I don't want to say what I think because I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully she seems to see that this is all just a charade. And I could tell by when she nods her head and when she looks at the crowd to see what we react to certain things, because we do react to certain things that are said. And I think she looks more to the crowd than even inward to see what the general population's feeling in that room. So there's a lot of common sense at play here, and I think she's gonna prevail. I know one thing, she's going to definitely have to dot all her I's and cross her T's, because if she doesn't, there'll be a mistrial or something stupid. So I think she's just waiting it out so she can do her final report. And I think it'll be like time served. Try not to get too much trouble. Have a nice day. Good Canadian.
Okay. I'm just going to wander over here and talk to some other folks. So, you mind saying a few words?
Yeah, hi, my name's Cliff, and Ontario loves to jail grandmothers. Linda Gibbons is in jail right now in Toronto for her pro-life stance for doing nothing. She's almost spent 20 years of her life in jail, and they want to put another grandmother in jail right now in Ottawa here in Ontario. Her name is Tamara Lich. So Ontario does not like grandmothers, and they want to jail them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here today, and I'm here in support.
Good for you. I just want to get a look at your posters here.
Yeah.
So, what's your gut feeling about this trial here? You think?
What I know for a fact that's a politically motivated trial for sure, and it's a persecution. and it's so obvious that it defines itself. I know for a fact that here in Ottawa, the Chief Swally said it was a political trial. Diane Deans, who was on the police board in city council, offered Swally a package to leave, which made it an interference politically. So by definition, this is a political trial, and there's no reason it should have gone on this long. And it's gone on. It's obviously a persecution. It's a show trial. They're making an example of people like Tamara, not to mess with the system, or the system will mess with you.
Well, certainly 12 months is a long time for a mischief trial.
And it still hasn't ended, and it's the longest mischief trial in Canada, I believe. And the thing about this trial and the location, this is a highly volatile area. There's so many things going on here that they don't have the manpower to deal with what's going on in the city, the violence, the crime and everything, but yet they're persecuting a grandmother for, what is it, conspiracy to commit mischief? Well, they're grasping at straws and throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping for a conviction. This is so obviously a political persecution.
Do you mind giving your last name, Cliff, or is just one?
Yeah, my name is Cliff St. Paul.
Cliff St. Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Cliff.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that was Cliff St. Paul, who was also doing some other activist work there, and I take my hat off for him coming. These people have come to this trial sometimes every day, and they're out there outside the courthouse telling people why they're there. And it's for the same reason I go as a journalist. I think this story needs to be told, and we can't ignore it. And we have to support people who supported us during the pandemic. Because as I said the other day in the story that has gone viral, monkeypox is the next one. Monkeypox is the next pandemic. Even though it's supposedly only something that is transmitted through male same sex activity. But yet we're all going to get it. And yeah, we need a new vaccine. What do you say? Billions of dollars again to Big Pharma to produce another vaccine that we're all going to have to take? Not this time, brother. Not this time. I took the vaccine twice the last time. I think we learned a lesson during the last pandemic. Anyway, thank you for watching today. I will be back tomorrow with more of the news you need to know, and I will be attending the trial when it resumes on Friday. That could be, and I'm told will be, the last day of testimony, and we expect a verdict sometime in the new year, 2025. Isn't that incredible? Would you have believed it when we first joined me a year ago on September 5th, 2023, on the first day of this trial? Would you believe we'd be at day 43, almost 12 months later, before this thing was finally concluded, at least in terms of testimony, and we'd still be waiting for a verdict? It's true, folks. That's what your country, Canada, that's what our country, Canada, has come to. But let's stick together. Let's fight together. Let's resolve to resist. And share this station with your friends and family. Tell everybody about it. And we'll be back again tomorrow. And please join me again on Friday when I've got